I just want to discuss something about why Sony decided to acquire Bungie for billions of dollars, yet they did not follow through with the vision of the player base to actually make a Destiny 3. When I was watching Jason Schreier's YouTube video as he transitioned from a gaming journalist to an actual YouTuber, and his first video was about Sony acquiring Bungie and why they will not make a Destiny 3. In this video, he talked about the realities of modern game development, including budgets, the staffing, production costs, and just how much more expensive games are today compared to the past. Those concerns are definitely valid. But when I look at a huge company like Sony acquiring Bungie for billions of dollars and then seemingly not following through on what many people expected, I don't think the answer is just simply it's too expensive. If Sony truly wanted to make a Destiny 3, they could make it happen, but that's not in their agenda, is it? The issue is deeper than that. Here's how I see it. The gaming landscape itself has shifted. The goal is no longer just to make a great game that creates these memorable experiences that I just discussed and the lasting impressions. Because it used to be about moments that would stay with you for years, and that emotional connection, that's what would naturally drive the future purchases and loyalty to the franchises they were playing. I can remember vividly the Halo 2 midnight release. It was at my local mall and the line was out the door. Not only was Halo so much anticipated, but it was after Combat Evolved, the first Halo, where it basically revolutionized gaming as a whole. And people just did not know how to act as a result, including me, because Halo 2 was when they introduced dual wielding for the first time. And when I got my hands on it, I just played it all night. Later on, I remember Skyrim. The thought of being in an open world from the remnants of Oblivion, being able to explore a brand new open world of Skyrim with dragons and whatever came with it. I also remember standing outside in the cold waiting for Gears of War 3, sitting there for I don't know how long, talking to people about everything that I was going to do in the game. Once we got into the GameStop, there was a tournament to test your mettle, to prove how good you were, boasting you were outside to your constituents. And it's just a feeling that you cannot get anywhere else. And this all digital future that Sony is positing completely steps on that perspective. This is a statement. It just gives you a feeling that an all digital future simply cannot give you. And also have the official Destiny hard book strategy guide, because back in the day they had Game Informer magazines before there were internet articles and YouTube that broke down everything that was in a game, everything that was coming. It would give you screenshots of certain scenes, and the only thing left was your imagination to visualize what it actually was. So there's only so much I can do to try and explain to this. Those who know, and those who feel it and understand what I'm saying. The point I'm trying to make is that the aftermath of all of those feels are what spawned the Stop Killing Games movement. And that is a completely different conversation for another day, because there's a whole discussion to be had about why this campaign was started and where it's at today. Now the focus is undoubtedly on maintaining engagement, keeping you logged in, and keeping you within the ecosystem with these cosmetics, seasonal events, the daily login rewards, and limited time events. So that dopamine loop that used to be activated by natural gaming experiences and real feels of the passion you might have felt from devs' work has been replaced. It still exists, but it's being approached differently. Many of these games are now designed to create reasons to come back the next day. And that's why Sony bet on Marathon. Really bad bet in my opinion. Furthermore, it's also why we have this super strong push towards extraction shooters. You can definitely point to Escape from Tarkov and Hunt Showdown as important influences, but to be honest, Arc Raiders was actually the moment so many developers looked at the genre differently and started rethinking their strategies. So then there was a model built around persistent progression, the repeated engagement, and that strategy ultimately works for them in the long run. But when you look at Sony's decision, I don't see a company that lacks the resources to make Destiny 3. It's basically a company chasing where it believes player behavior is going. And right now, that seems to be toward games designed around retention first and memorable moments second. That's just the reality. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not naive, okay? Although I love that feeling of nostalgia I get when I show you those books or talked about my experiences at midnight releases, those are actually real feelings. And that's why I think the indie game scene is so loved, because it retains a lot of that nostalgia and longing to actually feel like a real gamer. But when companies come into the gaming space thinking money first, it's a completely different conversation and feeling. Because it does make sense for companies to go this way, where they reduce costs and cut out the middleman, eliminate the used game market. They're saving a lot of money and making tons of money at the same time. So it just makes sense completely from a business standpoint. Even with the way the gaming landscape is overall in general, it just makes sense. A natural evolution to where gaming is supposed to go. But this has to come with limits and boundaries. We have to be able to retain some of the essence that created this entire experience. And this is why Stop Killing Games campaign was actually started. This is a consumer rights and video game preservation campaign that argues publishers should not be able to permanently disable games that people have legally purchased. It was started by a YouTuber named Ross Scott from Accursed Farms in April 2024, after Ubisoft shut down The Crew, because The Crew required a constant online connection, even the most single-player content. The game became completely unplayable once Ubisoft turned off its servers. So this movement is based on one simple purpose. They ask one question: if you pay for a game, should the company be allowed to make it stop years down the line? Or earlier than that, for that matter. We've already seen things like this starting to happen with multiple games like Anthem, like I just said, The Crew, and so many others that you can mention in the comment section below. This idea of what Sony is trying to do will undoubtedly result in not only an all-digital future, but consumers' rights being violated. This is what always happens when it comes to money over passion. There has to be a mix, a balance that combines both, because the reality is that it always boils down to money, but there has to be some substance involved with it. I'm going to save the rest of this conversation for another video, because there's definitely a deep dive that I want to get into. Pretty much wanted to talk about my perspective as to how gaming used to be and where it is now, why Sony refuses to pull the trigger on Destiny 3, and it makes sense. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this? And do you agree with my assessment? That'll do it for this one, fam. I appreciate you listening to the end. If you found this insightful in any way, then like the video and don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel for more discussions like these. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.